What's up, Dragon Brood? We're getting right back into it today. Not a big fun intro. There's a lot to cover, and I don't want this video to go on forever because I have other stuff you can watch. Anyway, remember, like this video, subscribe, remember to hit the notification bell. And before we get started, I think we need a logo that needs to go somewhere over here. There we go. And we need some cards. All right, let's get to it. Not a lot to say about Rune Halo. It's just 2 white mana. It can actually be huge for stopping a particular creature from damaging you, or if your opponent has some card, because you can give yourself protection from any card you want. Just name it, boom, you're good. This card's been pretty pricey before. It's been reprinted at least once. I think it's still a card people are looking for, so it should have a little bit of value. It'll just depend on what the format ends up looking like on if it still gets played a bunch. Once upon a time, me and I can't even talk. What is going on this morning? See, this is what happens when you do a ton of podcast stuff and everything else over a couple of days. Let's try that again. Once upon a time, me and Baneslayer Angel were actually pretty tight. I actually played it in a bunch of tournaments, played it in my commander deck, like just all around solid card. So this card I'm so glad to see back. It's definitely going to be one of the better finishers for some decks. It's also neat because it can be used both in control decks and used in aggro decks. And it's an angel, which is a popular creature type in some of these different commanders. So yeah, expect this card to see some action for sure. So this card's really interesting. This has always been kind of a mid-expensive card that people play in other formats. And people have wanted it to come to standard, modern, whatever. And this is the first time it's going to be able to be played there. It's cool because it's 1 mana, 1 colorless, 2/2, flash, all reasonable stats. But the cool thing is, when a non-token creature comes into play, if it wasn't cast, it's exiled. And that's cool. So it keeps any of that stuff that comes into play for free, things coming in out of the graveyard. Anything you're just putting into play that doesn't get cast, you can actually just stop it from hitting the board. That's actually pretty good. If you're talking about something you use against Winota, things you use against any of these Reanimator type decks, you can use it against the Cat Oven decks. Well, technically, I don't know. I have to look that one up. But anyway, it works against a lot of things. So definitely expect this card to see some action. You know, it's kind of interesting. Does it get played in conjunction with stuff like Hushbringer? Maybe, but it could just be a quality sideboard card on its own. I don't know what to think about this card. Chromatic Orie is a 7 mana legendary artifact. That's a lot of action on a card. But then you're also looking here, it says you can spend mana as those are mana any color, so that's awesome. It taps to give you 5, count them, 5 colorless mana. And then you can also spend 5 mana and tap it to draw a card for each color among permanents you control. That's a lot of stuff a card's doing. Like this, in the year of Commander, this is like a pinnacle peak Commander card, right? It costs more, it does multiple big things, it can let you cast your stuff with any color mana. Like, it's really cool. Now, whether it's pricey or not, I have no idea, because, you know, who knows? Maybe people just want one up, maybe it's too expensive for some decks. I don't know if it's going to see any just regular 60 deck play, but it's definitely a cool card, and I appreciate this level of design because it's just something completely different. Alright, now first let me say, I think it's really cool that they've just decided everything that's like a hound in Magic is just going to be dog, which is awesome, because I never understood why you have like tigers and lynx and they get to be cats, but for some reason we have this like, I don't know, jackal, and we're just going to call it a hound and it doesn't get to be a dog. Like, never made any sense. So it's cool. Now we have dogs, and now we have a dog leader, which is awesome. Well, a pack leader as it is. So it's 1 white, 1 colorless, 2/2. Other dogs get +1/+1, which is great. Anytime you have any type of champion card like that for your creature type you're playing, this is cool. Like, it's really cheaply costed. It's easy to play. You can splash it with other colors with no problem. And when it attacks, prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to other dogs you control that turn. That's awesome. Like, this is good. I mean, you can attack with your board. Like, if you have multiple pack leaders, you can just swing with your whole pack of dogs indiscriminately. Like, it's pretty damn cool. So definitely you can expect to see some dog cat mutual, maybe individual, somewhere on this channel. If nothing else, during the early release event, you know people are going to try to build the good dog deck. What are we going to call that? Somebody give me a name. I'll use that for the first version of this that I built. Put that down in the comments. This thing is crazy. Garrick the Crown Scourge. Okay, so it's 2 colorless, 1 red, 5/4 flying. Like, those are 6 stats for a 3 mana thing. So immediately I was like, okay, what's the catch with this card? It can't attack unless you control 4 or more artifacts. Like, okay, that's reasonable. But we do live in a world where, like, the Ozolith exists and the Ginger Brood. So, I mean, and there's something like you have Stone Coil Serpent, right? Like, so it's not unreal that you could have things to get into a situation where this can attack. And then at the beginning of your end step, you get to create a treasure token for each non-token creature that died that turn. So if your opponent's killing your creatures or you lose stuff in combat, you get treasure in exchange. Don't know if that makes this good, but it's at least worth considering. It's interesting. I'll probably give it a look. Not sure where it fits in, but I feel like there's some things we haven't seen yet that could potentially make this worthwhile. Don't know what to think about this card. Primal Might is just 1 green, X. Target creature gets +1, or actually gets +X until end of turn, and then it fights up to 1 creature you don't control. So it's kind of interesting in the sense that you can make a 3/3 maybe the next turn a 6/6, and you can fight your opponent's biggest thing and then attack with the 6/6 creature. That's kind of cool. Maybe it fits in those decks. I mean, I'm at least going to give it a shot in the Gruul deck because it's definitely, at this stage, the best fight card probably that we've seen. But it's also weird because if your creature fights, then it has that damage on it. Now you're not really incentivized to attack with it because it still could be weak to whatever your opponent has left. So, I don't know. And it's sorcery speed, so that could be a big drawback for something like this. Llanowar Visionary. 2 colorless, 1 green, 2/2. When it enters play, you get to draw a card. Taps 4 mana. It's kind of doing everything all the cheap elves have ever done, all in one card. It's kind of cool. It's like weird. You sort of get a Grey Ogre, but it lets you draw a card. And then if it lives, you get more mana. I'm sure there's decks that want this. I'm not sure which ones yet, but I dig it. And, you know, having something that can produce mana when you're talking about being off cost, when you want to play something like, say, maybe Obosh, this could be kind of interesting. Necromatch is a little bit weird. So you're black, 1, sorcery, choose a card name other than a basic land, then you search a player's graveyard, target player, so I didn't even say opponent, graveyard, hand, and library for any number of cards with that name, and then they get that many zombies. So on the one hand, you get to remove the biggest threat they have. Downside is you are going to give them very likely 3 or 4 creatures. Good and bad, but if you can deal with the creatures, not a big deal. So I don't know where it sits really. There's always been cards like this, and sometimes they have impact, sometimes they don't. I mean, we still have some in Standard right now, and they don't get a lot of play. So maybe this is just an interesting card. Maybe, though, this is something that gets played in actual zombie decks, where if you have a card, say you're playing against Control, and Heartless Axe are in your deck, and they're not that good, cool, you play this, get rid of your 4 Heartless Axe, and for 3 mana, you get 3 or 4 2/2s, which if you have Zombie Lords and other things, they could very well be 3/3s or 4/4s. So maybe that's how it gets used, and it's not even used as a defensive card as much as it is an offensive card. Whew, that was fast. And we got through it. Stumbled a little bit, but we got there. I just didn't fumble it on the way to the end zone. That's all that matters. So, yeah, set still looks great. I'm doing this earlier in the day, so there's only a few cards got previewed today on June 6th. But that's okay. We'll be doing this every day. Though I will say tomorrow I will not have a video up. I'm going to be participating in a charity event to raise money for the NAACP. It's actually going to be run by MTG Melee, actually. And I'll just include the link below in the description for anybody who wants to check it out. The event starts at 9 a.m. Pacific time, and it's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be fun casters. It's going to be myself, Cedric, Alias V, Corey Baumeister, Brad Nelson, I believe is our commentary team. So it's going to be a blast. It's going to be a very long day. I'm pretty sure we're probably going to go about 6 or 8 hours, but I expect it to be a lot of fun. We're trying to battle against racism, and hopefully we raise a lot of money. So please check out the link. Come to the channel. It's going to be on Alias V's channel, by the way. I want to point that out. Also, I do have my Discord channel link below. And I didn't forget, I'm working on the 1,000 subs video, and we will have some type of giveaway as well. Expect that probably in the next week to 10 days. These last 4 or 5 days have been crazy busy, everybody, so I want to say thanks again for everyone that's been sharing the channel, my podcast, those of you that come and visit me on my Twitch channel. It's all super appreciative and almost overwhelming. These, like I said, the last week has just been amazing, and I'm so thankful to everybody. And hopefully I can keep bringing you different content, fun content, and we can just keep growing together with the channel. Again, if you haven't liked the video, please do so. Please hit the subscribe button, because more people, more viewers helps us out a ton. And that's all I have for today. We will see you next time.